can't wait.
With John Dickinson.
Hey, JD, what you up to, sugar? Long time no talk to.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live at KNBR.com and on the KNBR app.
Warriors playing zone, and that's the guy they would love to get the shot up to.
Curry from Kerr puts it in.
You know your geography, Kevin.
9 threes for Stephen Curry.
Unreal. Spurs were not in a zone, but Steph is.
Yeah, Stephen Curry, wow. I mean, what a game for Steph. What a win for the Warriors. Incredible as they get the sweep in San Antonio. And I agree with Brent Barry. I think the Warriors kind of stole this one. Steph goes for 49, and the Warriors win 109-108. He gets fouled in the closing seconds, hits the free throws to put the Warriors up. The Spurs drop a play for De'Aaron Fox, who was pretty terrible down the stretch in that game. And the Warriors get the stop, make or miss league. They force him into that mid-range jumper, and an incredible win. I think that the new leader in the clubhouse for the win of the season for the Golden State Warriors, and what a couple of back-to-back wins for the Dubs. As we welcome you in, it's Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader. 808 KNBR, the number, 415-808-5627. Wow. I mean, it's just some games you almost don't know where to start as we hit the airwaves and get things rolling here on this Friday night with the Warriors now 2-1 on this 6-game road trip with stops in New Orleans, Orlando, and Miami to come. And it was just the Stephen Curry show on Wednesday night. It was the Stephen Curry show tonight for Golden State. And, the question that I want to get to here to begin this thing, and we'll run through it. Phone lines open, 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line open, the best YouTube chat in sports. Folks filing in to the YouTube chat, and we appreciate everybody. But the Warriors look like the Warriors again. That's the biggest overarching takeaway for me. The Warriors look like the Warriors again over these last couple of games, and in the aftermath of Oklahoma City and all of the comments, and we'll get into what Draymond said to push back against a lot of folks, myself included. I'll put myself in that, kind of making the Warriors' success here the last couple of games about Jonathan Kuminga's absence. But the reality of the situation is, win or lose, I put this out there with about 6-7 minutes to go in the game, the Warriors have looked like the Warriors. And the question that I have is it because Stephen Curry's got to score between 45 and 50 points? Is it because Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green have to play extremely hard and be a factor on both ends in playing, extended minutes? Is it the Spurs matchup? Some matchups are just good matchups. I think the Warriors are pretty comfortable as much of a unicorn as Victor Wembanyama is, and a terrific young player that's only going to grow and get better. And he did his thing against the Dubs these last couple of games. But the Spurs are still very much a young up-and-coming team trying to figure out how to be good. Like, they're trying to go from bad to good, as great as Wembanyama already is, really, on both sides of the ball. And the Warriors have been to the top of the mountain. And so I think there is something to the matchup in terms of not only the Spurs players, but the experience in play that the Warriors have and that San Antonio wants to get to. Very much a feel going back to last year of some of the matchups against the young up-and-coming Rockets, and kind of a little bit of a feel to the Warriors and Kings from the couple of years where Sacramento was actually good with De'Aaron Fox and the playoff series from 2023 and all of those things. So some matchups, point being, just give the Warriors more juice. Some matchups are just more favorable matchups in terms of the players on the court that you're going up against. But, and the final thing is it no Kuminga? I mean, because he was barely a factor due to the injury in the game on Wednesday, and the Warriors sit him out tonight due to that same injury, the bilateral tendonitis, so some sore knees for Jonathan Kuminga the last couple, and the Warriors lock in and the ball is moving. And even when they're not hitting shots, you feel like it's only a matter of time, at least in the 2 games, until Steph is going to get on a little bit of a heater, because the rhythm of the game is different. The Warriors are a rhythm team. They are a rhythm team. When they're rolling, it's Steph and then everything else around Steph, and it's the defense, and it's the ability to get out in transition, but it's the ball movement and the gravity that Steph creates and the rhythm that Steph creates that allows other people, as games go on, to be able to function at a higher level. And I think some of that rhythm had been lost for the Warriors, after the first 4 or 5 games of the season. And frankly, I don't think they really had that rhythm at any point to begin the season. But that's kind of my question. Like, what is it? Is it, and how much of any of it is sustainable? Because for the Warriors to win on a night in, night out basis, they, Steph can't average 50 or 47 as he has here in these last 2 games. Jimmy Butler, can't play at his age at the level that he played at throughout the course of these last 2 games every single night. Draymond Green was not nearly as good as he was on Wednesday night tonight, but 33 minutes, and he's going at it with Wembanyama, and he's battling, and he's laying fouls, and he's just trying to by sheer force of will, grind out a victory for the Warriors. So it's that kind of effort. It's that kind of intensity. The lineup changes are the other factor that I would guess throw out there. But that's how I wanted to start the show tonight at 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627 if you want to jump in and join the conversation via the phone lines here tonight as Dubs OT gets rolling here on the Sports Leader. A lot to get into. We'll run through the game here coming up in a bit. But yeah, I mean, how sustainable is it? And it's also a night where, first and foremost, and I don't want to bury the lead here at all, but there are just some nights where you have to take a deep breath and take a step back and just appreciate the greatness of Stephen Curry. 44th game for Steph of 40 or more points after turning 30. So he is now tied with Michael Jordan for the most 40-plus point games after turning 30. And he does it in the back-to-back games in San Antonio, the baseball series. And Anthony Slater of ESPN now, he put out there first time that Steph has gone for 40 in consecutive games since 2022. And the Warriors needed every bit of it to be able to eke out a victory down the stretch in San Antonio to win both of these games, improve to 8-6, get back to their winning ways on the road, and also just stem the tide in terms of some of the noise that was starting to surround this team, that always surrounds this team when things are not going well because of all of the successes that they've had throughout the course of their dynastic run. And look, this is a new team trying to forge a new identity, and wins like tonight are the kind of wins you need to have if you're going to establish that identity and work yourself into being a legitimate contender in the NBA. And I think the Warriors still have a lot of work to do to get into that mold and kind of work their way back into that rhythm that they found themselves in post Jimmy Butler trade going back to February. So 808 KNBR, let's get it going on the phone lines here with Reggie in Vallejo, our tip-off caller tonight on this Friday. Couple of lines open. Feel free to jump in and join the conversation. But Reggie, you're up first here on the Sports Leader. What's going on tonight, Reggie?
Hey, what's up, JD? I guess, maybe Steve Kerr does listen to Dubs OT. I'm super glad we got to see the lineup change from the other night with Will Richard and Moody just being inserted in there. That's the thing about lineup changes and lineup combos. They just matter, especially when you have a team surrounded by Steph, Dre, and Jimmy. They just need players that complement their play style. And I think with Jonathan Kuminga in the first couple games, he is a guy that needs the ball in his hands to be effective. I don't think that going forward, even this lineup with Will Richard and Moody is sustainable, because the past 2 games to win, Steph had to drop 40 or 80 points in the last 2 nights. That's freaking ridiculous at his age. Like, at some point, there's got to be
over 90,
ahead,
Reggie.
David.
Over 90 in the 2 games. I'll help you out on the math there. It's over 90 for the 2 games. 49 tonight.
That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah.
I just think the offense, even the night before, just looked more fluid. You could see tonight, I think it was the first points we scored. Will Richard just cut off the baseline perfectly from Draymond. And that just opens up everybody's game because it's predicated off movement. And the funny thing about the Warriors offense is it's so well organized, and there's so much motion going around, is when you don't fit in, it shows right away that you don't fit in, and it shows loudly. And I think that's what, unfortunately, Kuminga, like, it just is not working because it looks so clunky when he wants to have the ball. But the hard thing is he's trying to be bought in. He's trying to do the right things to stay on the court. But I just don't think forward. The Warriors have found their identity without him right now in the past 2 games. That's what I think. Another thing too, JD, I think
sure,
the Warriors pecking order. I know you talk about this sometimes, but I think right now it's the third option is just going to be revolving door around Moody, Podziemski, Kuminga, and Will Richard, because other than Steph and Jimmy, Draymond, I don't put him in there because he's just so defensively minded that he takes the shots that's given to him, but I'm not expecting Draymond to be the guy that scores 15 points a game, right? I mean, other than those two,
no question.
Jimmy, if we're going to talk about making a move, they've got to find another option out of Steph, aside from Steph, somebody that can create off the dribble, somebody that could just take pressure off of him, because in the non-Steph minutes tonight, they looked really bad. And we had to depend on another Curry flurry to get us to win the game. So those were my 2 points. And my last thing, just wanted to shout out to Coach Beam, who passed away. I'm a native from San Leandro, so it is really tough to see to hear that news, and just thoughts and prayers to his family. But yeah, I'll take your thoughts offline, JD. Thank you again. Best show.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Reggie, and I echo everything you said about Coach Beam. I know that's been a big topic today, and rightfully so. And we definitely send our condolences from the Dubs OT show to his family. Just tragic, the whole thing there. So definitely welcome the kind words. As far as the Warriors aspect of this thing, I mean, look, I don't want to crush Jonathan Kuminga at all, because I agree with Reggie, and I've said it, like, he is trying to buy in the time that he's been on the court. And even when he is trying to buy in, he still, and has looked to be more of a willing passer, he still needs the ball in his hands to do it. And he's been doing it. And even when he was doing it, those first 5-6 games, it was working, but the offense and the team didn't have the rhythm and the flow that they've had here in these last couple of games. So they're going to have to account for it. I don't think it has to be, at least in the short term, a situation where he's not playing at all or anything like that. I just think they have to be very careful as they get him back from this knee injury to work him in off the bench and really try to put some combinations on the court to where, when he plays at his best, it's energy, it's getting out in transition, it's the dunker spot, it's everything's a layup or a dunk or maybe a corner three and free throws. I mean, that's when he's at his best. And so I still think he has the ability to help this team this season up until the time when he can be traded on January 15th. And then I think the Warriors are going to have to look to make a move to try and get that other playmaker, scorer, shooter somebody to alleviate some of the pressure from Steph, who did it all just to keep the Warriors in the freaking game tonight, along with Jimmy Butler, and somebody that maybe more consistently can be that number 2 or number 3 scorer on the nights where Jimmy doesn't have it, or on the nights where the other guys, the revolving door of Moody, Pods, whoever, just can't do it, because there are too many nights where if it's not Steph and it's not Jimmy, and then Moody and Pods and Kuminga are not having good nights, you're basically sunk at that point. So I do think they need another scorer there in terms of the pecking order. But all in all, just an incredible night and an incredible win for the Warriors, as they again prove that when they're locked in and they're healthy, they can beat anybody in the Western Conference anywhere. And I think anybody in the NBA anywhere when they're locked in. But again, how sustainable is the way that they played over the course of the last few games? It doesn't even really matter tonight. It is a conversation for tonight, and it is a conversation we'll get into tomorrow on Just Dubs, as we'll be with you here on the Sports Leader from 11 until 12 after Larry Krueger's 49er forecast. But, that is what they're going to have to find. It just didn't feel like as much of a struggle, even when, and there were some lengthy stretches where nobody was doing anything other than Steph and Jimmy. It just feels like the offense, to Reggie's point, is much more in a rhythm. All right, from Reggie, let's get to Adam in San Jose up next here on Dubs OT on this Friday night here on the Sports Leader. Warriors get the win at San Antonio, 109-108. We're talking about it here on the Sports Leader. What's going on, Adam?
What's up, JD? I think the last 3 games, including the OKC game, has really showed us that without Steph, we're nothing. And Steph is bound to miss times this season with rest and injuries. He's most likely going to get an injury this year that's going to sideline him for weeks. And we don't really have that second option that can keep us afloat. I mean, Moses Moody, I called last season. I think it was the final Sacramento game we played in Sac. I called the show and I commented about Moses Moody's inconsistency, and you didn't like it. And tonight is one of those. He played 30 minutes, 4 points, 1 assist, 3 rebounds. We got to have a consistent young guy, because Jimmy Butler, if he's going to be our second option, he's inconsistent, but he's older, so he's not going to always have play to that standard. But Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, one of these guys have to show some consistency, because we really need that second option. And then finally, thank God that poster on Draymond didn't count, because for all his efforts the last 48 hours, he did not deserve to be all over social media. Good night.
Yeah, that was an incredible play, and really nothing he could do, obviously, on that play. I mean, when you're a foot and a half shorter, there's really nothing you can do. But yeah, it all ended up working out in the end. And Draymond was just playing some dogged defense. I mean, you talk about battling, and that's the thing. You go up against Wemby, and Horford did his thing a little bit too. I mean, you're going to lose a lot of the individual matchups, but in both of these games, the Warriors were able to win enough of the matchups to where they still had a chance to win the game, despite Wemby just being ridiculous. I mean, I can only imagine what his game's going to look like. I mean, a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. I mean, if he can stay healthy, I mean, he's an all-time great in terms of talent, and affects the game on both ends. I mean, he's a freaking hockey goalie on defense. I mean, it's incredible. He just kind of plants himself there, and I mean, Draymond attacking him twice, and him just with ease, just putting his arm up to swat Draymond away. But I'm with you, Adam, on none of those guys. And I mean, Moody is just not a consistent scorer. He's just not, and Pajemski's not, and Kuminga, has shown to this point that he can't do it. I think that player that you're looking for is not somebody currently on the roster. And that does lead to a dangerous game, because you're right. I mean, the original point you brought to the table right at the beginning of the call, the Warriors without Steph, they got no action. They got nothing. And it is scary. Like, if he had to miss 10 games, would they go 2-8? Like it just depends on the schedule, and if they do, then your season is kind of wrecked at that point. You're spending the rest of the season just trying to get back to 500 and above. I also think that's why winning games like tonight are important, as much as it could have gone either way down the stretch. The fact that the Warriors were able to win this game, win both of these games, it does maybe make up for one of the Milwaukee, or I mean, nothing really makes up for the Indiana game given the players that Indiana had out. But staying on schedule and winning those games that the Warriors have already dropped a couple of, not putting yourself in a position where you have to give everybody the night off in Sacramento. That's a game they would have won had Jimmy or Draymond played, even without Steph, probably, because the young guys played pretty well for significant stretches of that game, and the Kings are in bad shape here to begin the season. So taking advantage of those opportunities are important. And thanks for the call, Adam. But I think that player that can provide some of that alleviation of the what Steph has to do, the burden of Steph and Jimmy, I just don't think that player's on the roster. They don't want Kuminga to play that way. When Kuminga does play the way that he is capable of scoring, it messes up their rhythm. So they got to find somebody. I think between that January 15th and the trade deadline on February 5th, it's about a 3-week window to be able to try and make some moves. Let's keep it going on the phone lines. 808 KNBR. DJ Gravy in Richmond up next here. Dubs OT. We got a lot of people that want to squawk here on the phone line, so we appreciate it. What's going on, DJ Gravy?
What's going on? Thank you for having me. I love listening to you. But I do want to piggyback on what you said, because that's exactly what I was going to say, is what's sustainable and what's not sustainable. Tonight was a wonderful night, a wonderful win, but it felt like Curry was working too hard, and felt like we depended on Curry too much. Just like you said, if we didn't have Curry, where would we be? And it's going to take either one of our players or a player that we don't have yet, to be that next threat. Curry is that 3-point threat, and he's a threat in the paint. And it will be nice to have another 3-point threat, because we have wonderful defense, but it doesn't look like we're going to have that 3-point threat or even be able to get that 3-point threat. So we need somebody in the paint. It could be Kuminga, but like you just said, when Kuminga does play the way he plays, it doesn't really mesh with the way that we want him to play. So it seems like we need another threat, that's in the paint to make them, of course, everybody's scared of Curry, and they got a double or tripling. We need somebody else that's going to, help throw off the defense, when we're coming down the lane or coming for a three or down the paint. I mean, question, who do you think would be a good threat for us to pick up? Because we do have 3 more weeks left, you said, right?
Yeah, well, there's a 3-week window with JK that doesn't start for 2 more months. It's that January 15th until the trade deadline. I mean, they could trade anybody else on the roster right now. He's the one that they have to wait on because he just signed the new deal. The guy that I keep coming back to is Kobe White with Chicago. He's a combo guard, good 3-point shooter. But he plays, there's a lot, he does it, that kind of, the Jordan Clarkson, Malik Monk, those kind of guys come up, but I think Kobe White gives you maybe a little less dynamic in terms of attacking the paint compared to those other guys, but he's a much more smooth shooter. And I think his style of play fits the Warriors' rhythm real well. So he can kind of get his, but also fit into the game plan when they have everybody and help on that front as well. Like I think what the Warriors are searching for is somebody that's not just going to be an independent, because like we can say, Kuminga has his way of doing it, but you know what, if you bring in a Malik Monk, he's going to have his way of doing it. And that doesn't really jive with what the Warriors like to do either. It's got to be somebody. I hate to open this can of worms, but it's, because this player he was this player for a short period of time, but it's Jordan Poole, right? Like Jordan Poole could play with those guys, and he could kind of expand his game when Klay Thompson was out and he was in the starting lineup at the 2. He was able to expand his game in the championship year when Steph Curry was out and basically start at the point guard with Klay. So it's somebody. And again, Jordan Poole isn't that player now. So anytime I bring up his name, people say, JD. They never should have got rid of Jordan Poole, this, that, and the other. So I'm not opening that can of worms. I mean, there's a lot of things that have happened since then, but they need somebody that has the ability to fit in with the OGs while also kind of being able to do their own thing in a way that doesn't upset the rhythm of the way the Warriors want to play. And I just, not that Kobe White's going to be available, but he's the one guy as a guard that I think really could help along those lines. But then if you go get a player like that, is Podziemski going to have to be in the deal at that point? D'Anthony Melton's coming back. You want to play Will Richards. So they, if you go get a guy like that, you also have a little bit of a glut in terms of too many guards that have to play. So you're going to have to be, I think, moving a guard if you're going to make that move to bring in another guard. And the other thing that could help this team would just be a 3-and-D wing, but 3-and-D wings are, everybody wants them, and there aren't enough of them to be had regularly. So I think the Warriors are probably up against it on that front. DJ, appreciate you. Thanks for chiming in tonight. Good phone call. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. Let's keep this thing rolling here all the way up to and close to the top of the 10 o'clock hour here with Bleacher Dave. Bleacher Dave in the Virgin Islands, my man. What's going on tonight, Dave?
Man, look, I don't know how people in Eastern time zones watch West Coast basketball, because it is damn near 2 a.m. Good Lord. I tell you what, it's worth every minute of sleeplessness. Oh, Lord, JD. And look, to paraphrase the words of that great American philosopher, poet Samuel Clemens, the reports of the Warriors' demise have been greatly exaggerated, because Steph Curry was not letting him die tonight. We are.
Yeah, hey, Dave, let me put you on hold, man. We're having a bad connection. Kyle wants to. Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, Kyle. Dave, we'll put you on hold. We'll get you back in the rotation here because you were really. I wasn't sure if that was my connection or Dave's connection, but Kyle let me know it was Dave's connection. We were kind of we weren't hearing every word, man. So we want to get you back in line here. Let's take Ben in Santa Rosa, and then we'll reconnect with Bleacher Dave out in the Virgin Islands here on Dubs OT. What's going on, Ben?
How you doing, JD?
Good. Doing well tonight.
Good.
What's on your mind?
Hey, I was listening to the post game with Tim. He usually interviews a guy. He got Steph tonight, and I thought it was interesting because he asked him towards the end. Tim did if this was like a validation as far as them making it deeper into the playoffs. And he said no. I mean, the problem here is, and Steph kind of inferred it a little bit. This team doesn't have a starting rotation. I mean, it's almost like a grab bag each week. It's like they're formulating the starting rotation to who they're playing, and I see that as a problem. As they get deeper into the season, because when it comes to the playoffs, you kind of have to have a starting 5 guys you can depend on, right? So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that as far as how you think you're going to deal with that moving forward, and I'll take your answer off there. Thanks.
Appreciate it, Ben. Yeah, I think the best thing that they can do is eventually, and I think right now you just roll with what's working, and that's Steph and Will Richard, Moody, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green. I've been pretty adamant that I think the Warriors are at their best when Draymond Green plays the center spot. Now, I understand all of the Warriors have needed more bigs, and size hurts the Warriors, and Draymond doesn't want to play the 5 for 82 games, and if he does, he's going to get worn down. He's not going to have anything left in the tank for the playoffs. And so but that being said, it is about combinations, and it is about coming up with a rotation that's appropriate. And I think if you look at it, for the Warriors, their best lineup post Jimmy Butler trade last year was Steph, Podziemski, Moody, Jimmy, Draymond. That was their best lineup. I think they were 17-4 in 21 games of the 31. They started the most games together. I think they were 17-3, 17-4 last year with that lineup. I think that was going to be the starting lineup to begin the season had Moses Moody not gotten hurt in training camp. Moses Moody gets hurt in training camp. They're asking Jonathan Kuminga to adjust his game to be able to fit in. He adjusts his game to be able to fit in. They reward him with basically Moody's starting spot, which he earned. And, Moody was going to miss a couple of games. I think he came back game 3 of the season in Portland, and he's been back since. But Kuminga earned that spot. And with Kuminga going into that lineup, then at that point it became, are you going to play Draymond at the 5 with Kuminga at the 4, Jimmy at the 3, Podziemski and Steph, or are you going to try to add some shooting to the line? And I think they tried to on some of these nights kind of kill two with one and say, well, Kuminga's in, he's earned it. If Kuminga's in, we need more shooting. We'll play Quentin Post as the starting center, take Podziemski out, add the shooting, which you need with Kuminga, and then also bump Draymond to the 4 and allow him to play fewer minutes at the 5. I don't think that group has worked. And also Podziemski, let's be honest, he's been extremely up and down to begin the season, but much more up and down, I think, than he's been really at any point. He was down a lot early, and then he was pretty steady once he got rolling last year for the most part. But so I think I say all that to come back to the fact that I think the best starting lineup for the Warriors eventually, this is all leading back to, I think, Steph, and we're talking pre-trade deadline, Steph, Podziemski, Moody, Jimmy, Draymond. I think that's going to be the 5. And Will Richard right now, it's working. I think Will Richard is a rotation player already as a rookie for this team. Doesn't mean he's not going to struggle. Doesn't mean at some point he may not be in the rotation. But you run with Will Richard now because he was performing well in the opportunities he was receiving. You run with Moody because Moody has worked himself back into being a starting player. And Podziemski wasn't playing well enough to be able to start. So we talked about it on Wednesday. Like, could you imagine if you tell Kuminga he can't start, after starting the year well and then not playing as well over the next, say, week and a half. But Podziemski, who's been, I think overall had been at worse to begin the year, top to bottom. So to me, it's almost as if you reward Richard, he's earned it. Pods comes off the bench, JK comes off the bench, and you just kind of move on from there. And then you play Horford, you play Post. You just because Draymond starts at the 5 doesn't mean Draymond has to play the whole game at the 5. But the Warriors have to play Draymond at the 5. They need to pepper in the size here and there. I think if anything, maybe they could use a little bit more wing size still. But the reality of the situation is their best groups are with Draymond playing the 5 in that starting lineup, and I think eventually it winds up being Pods. All right, let's try Bleacher Dave again here, back with us on the Sports Leader. Oh, we lost Bleacher Dave again. My goodness, we lost
that
Dave,
Virgin Islands
in the Virgin Islands. The Virgin Islands connection is not working tonight for Dave. All right, Duck Sauce in San Jose will wrap up the beginning hour of the program here on Dubs OT. What's going on, Duck Sauce? Good to hear from you.
Hey, Jay Dilla. What's up, my guy? I'm not going to lie, that game had me pumped up tonight. What a win to win back-to-back on the other team's home floor, when they've been playing that well this year is big time to me. Steph, the last couple games, it's funny, earlier in the season, I text one of my buddies, I'm like, Steph looks hurt, and that was before they had mentioned that he was sick, and he quelled that, man. Steph is still Steph. When he's like this, to me, he's the best player in the world. You can take your Jokic's or your Doncic's, whoever you want. When he's playing like this with this type of gravity that he brings and how he does it so organically, he's the best player in the world. I wanted your take, JD. You know, what's frustrating to me about Jimmy is like, it's almost like he's only aggressive when Steph has it going. And when Steph doesn't have it going, he's not aggressive. And to me, he's got it backwards. It's like, bro, we need you to be aggressive when Steph doesn't have it going. Because, you know, to some of the earlier callers' points, like, I agree, like, sometimes it just looks so difficult, or they're working so hard to score, you know, especially in the non-Steph minutes. It's like, bro, we need you to get buckets when Steph don't have it going, not just when he's playing well. So, you know, I did want your take on that. And, you know, shout out Gary Payton, man. I thought he was done for, and, you know, he's been big the last couple games. So I got to give him credit. You know, he came from the depths, and he showed that he can still have some value. The one other thing is, I thought Moody was absolutely terrible tonight. You know, every time with Moody, to me, it's like a step forward, a step back. He's just, I love his attitude, man. I just don't think he's very talented, JD. I like your take about Kobe White. Like, we need some guys that can dribble, JD. We need guys that have a handle. Like, watching Pajemski and Moody try to take someone off the dribble is painful. Like, and make no mistake, there's a difference between attacking a closeout and attacking someone who's in a defensive stance. Like, they can attack closeouts, but when these guys have someone in a defensive stance, Moody's handle is a joke, is an absolute joke with the talent I'm seeing in this league with guys at his size that can put it on the deck. So, not to end on a negative, man. It was a heck of a win, but yeah, I'll take your takes off the air, JD, and rest in peace, Coach Bean.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. Thanks for the call, Duck Sauce. Yeah, Moody he's still somebody, though, I think on this team right now, that even on nights where he doesn't play well, and he didn't play well tonight, he's still one of your closers on this team. Like, because his poor play, and I'm with you, you need more. I mean, he really offensively is he's a stand-up shooter. I mean, that's what it is. It's get the ball kicked to him, hit an open shot. I mean, that's really what it is. He's not somebody that's going to break anybody down. Pajemski's kind of the same, and Pajemski hit 3 threes tonight, by the way. Brandon Pajemski, I thought, we talk about unsung heroes, and GP2 was one for sure. And look, GP2's playing because of the Kuminga rotation spot that's been left open due to his injury here these last couple of games. So GP2 was out of the rotation, and when you need an extra player to play, Steve tapped GP2, and he helped them win both of these games. So he's somebody that's not necessarily going to play all the time, but he is somebody that they trust. Steve trusts him. Steph trusts him. And often when Steph is on a heater, GP2's on the court with him. That's also something that I've kind of noticed here throughout the time. But let's go ahead and take a quick timeout. 808 KNBR, what a great beginning to this show. Warriors get the win in San Antonio, 109-108. I want to react more to what Duck Sauce had to say. Got a couple of phone lines open if you want to jump in and join the conversation. We'll get Luke in Roseville and you at 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627, Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line. And we'll get to Kyle's clicks on the other side as well. Sounds of Dubs OT as we roll on. Warriors get a big win, their second in a row in San Antonio. We are all over it right here on the Sports Leader.
Live from downtown.
Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang!
This is Dubs OT with John Dickinson on the Sports Leader. Streaming live at KNBR.com and on the KNBR app.
It's going to be Fox. Peyton is there. Fox. It's for two in the lead. No! Golden State has gotten another win in San Antonio. And Curry has led the way with 49. In a masterpiece for him. Another one.
Another one. Kevin Harlan on the call there. Amazon Prime. Warriors win 109-108 at San Antonio. They sweep the 2 games in San Antonio. They'll head to New Orleans, take on the Pelicans Sunday. Then Orlando Tuesday, Miami on Wednesday. And we'll be all over it with Dubs OT here on the Sports Leader. Let's get back to the phones. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Kyle's Clicks coming up as well. Appreciate everybody watching the program tonight here on YouTube and Twitch. Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line. Let's get back to the phones, though. The people are fired up tonight. And Luke in Roseville up first here on Dubs OT as we get into our second hour of the program. What's going on tonight, Luke?
Hey, love the show. Huge dub in San Antonio tonight. I was wondering,
incredible win.
Small ball that I was wondering with all the small ball that the Warriors have been playing, they have the big man in Quentin Post, but he's not fully developed yet. What do the Warriors as an organization, what does Steve Kerr need to do to get Quentin Post to be that starting 5, the big guy that the Warriors seem to need?
Yeah, it's going to take time. I don't think it's something that can happen this season necessarily. I mean, he also, I think, like a lot of the other young players, he's a complementary player more than a carrier. So there are some nights where his impact is going to be felt more than others. I think there are certain matchups where you can start him. I mean, the Warriors have started him, I think, 7 or 8 times to this point. But I don't know that he's ever going to be a 25 to 30 minute a night player. I think he's much more of a change of pace type of a player. He's been better protecting the basket this year in the early going of the season, which I think is one thing. It's tough if he's out on the perimeter having to defend, but he's just a nice complementary player. And I think, really, the Warriors are probably looking more for like I was saying, another wing or another guard to help fill out the rotation than somebody that can truly be sort of the big man of the future. Because I think anybody that's going to wind up being the big man of the future is probably, Luke, going to be the type of player that can defend inside, shot blocker, all of that, while also being a stretch type big. And Post has shown a little of that here and there, but he really is somebody that I think at this point is still going to be more of a complimentary player. And look, he had his moments last year. I think he's somebody that's had some moments at the beginning of this year. He's a regular season player, I think, at this stage, much more than he is a playoff type player. Thanks, Luke. Appreciate it. And getting with Al Horford also may wind up helping him. In addition to that, but at this point, I think he kind of falls in line with a lot of those other young players. Let's get Drew Down up next here on Dubs OT. What's up, Drew Down, out in Tracy tonight here on the Sports Leader? Hey, Drew Down.
What's up? Good evening, JD and Kyle Hart. First off, I want to say I don't like Amazon. I don't like the streaming. Love Kevin Harlan. Me personally, give me some Fitz and Buki. I know Fitz is corny, but he's our corny, and that might not be popular, but that's my opinion. I almost turned that game off. It got ugly for a while. I know that's weak, but I'm going to keep it real. On GP2 and Pods, they made some big plays late. That bench, for the most part, was pretty bad, but they made big threes. Pods was taking the charge late, made some big plays to help win that game. And then that Wemby block on Butler, that gave me Game 7, 2016 flashbacks. blocked by Wemby. That gave me the block by James, a kind of flashbacks. But they were able to overcome that. And man, Stephen Curry, well, age 37, back-to-back 40-point games to drag this team to 2 road victories against a really good team. That's just insane what this man's able to do. And I'm not sure this team, if they're able to get enough wins, just get to the playoffs and just give Steph Curry, a chance, man, because as you've seen the last couple of games, give him a chance and that man can do the unthinkable. So great win tonight. There's still a lot of questions, but 2 big road wins and let's keep it rolling. Thanks, Eddie.
Absolutely. I mean, Steph continues to show, and I don't think anybody was doubting it, but Steph continues to show that he's got it in him. I think Jimmy Butler has shown the last couple of games that he's got it in him. Draymond has shown that he's got it in him. And when you have those 3, you can get enough here and there from some of the others to be able to win some big games. I still think for a playoff run, they're a player away, and the question becomes, how do you get that player? Yes, but it also just goes back to the sustainability question. It's the Warriors looking like the Warriors as we began the show, but what is it these last 2 games that's led to the Warriors looking like the Warriors? Steph scoring 46 and 49 with Jimmy super engaged and locked in, with Draymond a man possessed trying to defend Wembanyama and snarling and arguing with officials and talking trash to like Draymond was offensively not great in either one of these games, but he made an impact. His presence was felt. He was in the fight these last 2. So you have that and you see what this team can do. The problem though becomes it's just these guys can't be expected to bring that all year long, and when they don't, the problem isn't when they bring it. Like, we know when they bring it, they can beat anybody. The problem is when they can't bring it or don't bring it, they can also lose to Milwaukee without Giannis and to Indiana without half of Indiana's roster. That's the problem. And how do you win the games like tonight and win the games like Wednesday night while also winning the games in Milwaukee and Indiana and Sacramento, who hasn't won a game in a week and a half since they beat the Warriors? And again, that was a night where everybody, those are the 3 games. And I know the Warriors didn't play any of their main guys in that game, but those 3 games to me are the games where even if you get 2 of those games, you're 10-4 right now. You're feeling great about where things are. And if you're 10-4, then you can more judiciously give guys a night off here and there. The problem becomes when you're 6-6 and you want to give guys a night off. And again, going back to, and we'll get to Mike and Los Gatos here in just a second, going back to what Duck Sauce had to say, Moody's a complimentary player, not a carrier. Pajemski's a complimentary player, not a carrier. Kuminga is not a carrier either. He's a complimentary player when he's right. And it takes, I think, a little bit more to get him to consistently, even be a complimentary player in the ways that the Warriors really need him to be. Quentin Post, complimentary player, and I don't know what the deal is with Jimmy. I just think Jimmy is just not, he's a very team-oriented basketball player, and he just is not a go score 50 guy. And I know we've seen him do it in the playoffs, but he's much more I'm going to set everybody else up and then get mine when everybody else gets rolling kind of a guy. And I think that may be why he starts to look better when Steph really gets rolling and on a heater like he was tonight. So Jimmy's a unique number 2. And I think with Jimmy as your number 2, look, he is exponentially better than anybody they'd had since the championship team once they got him. I mean, exponentially better as a number 2. But if he's going to be your number 2 with Steph, who's still phenomenal, then you gotta have I think you have to have a more consistent number 3 and not just have guys that may have a great night if they're hitting shots, may have a good night if they're in rhythm. But I think you need one more guy you can count on to fill it up a little bit more consistently. And the Warriors, I just don't think have that player on their roster. But the Warriors have looked like the Warriors here these last couple of games, and I think we harped on it when they got blown out by OKC. It's Steph, it's Jimmy, it's Draymond. When those three set the tone, this team is on point. When they don't, you always have to look at your best players, and those guys have wanted these last two games. And I think that is that's an aura that can be felt throughout the rest of the team, and it enables others to go out and match that level of competitive spirit, which frankly was lacking in the Oklahoma City game and had been lacking for a week and a half, in large part because Steph had been out of the lineup, and everybody kind of at once had their Steph sick, Jimmy needs a night, might as well give Draymond a night. Like you go through these week and a half stretches where just nothing adds up, and you wind up losing 5 out of 6 or whatever it was. Those are the stretches the Warriors have to be in better position to handle, and I think the answer is still somebody that's not currently on the roster. All right, Mike and Los Gatos next year at 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. What's going on tonight, Mike? What's on your mind?
Hey, John. Appreciate your show. You got a good way about yourself. Thank you for your research and groove. It seems weird. I mean, didn't we win the last 3 games? And everybody seems a little down, and I don't understand. I mean, come on.
I'm not down. I don't get the feeling anybody's down, and it's 2 games, not 3. They've won the last 2, 3 of 4. They have won 3 of 4. You throw the Oklahoma City game out now, so I think you can look at that and say, okay, this team's playing better basketball. No, tonight is a night that should be celebrated without a doubt. I mean, Steph is phenomenal, but I think there is this. What are the reasons in which this happened, and how much can it be replicated? Because as special as these last 2 games have been, it's, I'm more of the opinion that if they've started to with the lineup changes, I'm more of the opinion they can more consistently replicate better efforts with the lineup and the rotation that they currently have. Less Kuminga, more Richard, Moody in the starting lineup, kind of getting back to the guys that were the players that were playing most of the time after the Jimmy Butler trade. So I think if they can keep the lineup to that, and then pepper in Kuminga a little bit here and there, then I think that's probably the way to go. And I think they can get on a little bit of a run, but it's still, I think they are going to have to add to this team at the deadline. And I think, as spectacular as it is, and everybody appreciates Steph, and they show they've got it in them, but it's a matter of they're 8-6, and they've got to try to do everything they can to not have to work as hard as they did down the stretch last year just to get in the playoffs. And so, that's the part that I think's got everybody. I don't think anybody's down. I think it's more just cautious in terms of how are they going to navigate the final 68 games here. There's 68 games to go. How are you going to navigate this?
But we were 6-5, and then 6-6, and now we're what, 8-6, or what do you say? Yeah. So we won the last 2. I'm stoked.
Yeah, you should be. Everybody should be. They're huge wins. These are huge, potentially, honestly, season-altering wins. Like if they get on a little bit of a run, we're going to go back and say, wow, those games in San Antonio may have flipped their season. So, no, good stuff, Mike. Appreciate it. Always good to keep the proper perspective on a night like tonight. Again, we don't rate wins, and this is a phenomenal win. Like, this is not the we don't rate wins thing like that we always say. Like, this is if we did rate wins, this would be as good a win as it gets, right? I mean, this would be, if we did rate wins, Kyle, this would be like an 11 out of 10. So
easily
nobody's worried. Yeah. So we're not, we can rate this one extremely high. And again, there is that small frustration when the Warriors show what they can do, that other aspects of this team can't be a little bit more consistent. But tonight, again, Moses Moody didn't play well offensively, but he was solid. Pajemski, some big shots. GP2 in the rotation because Kuminga wasn't. Big time. Will Richard knocks down 2 more threes tonight in 5 attempts. He scores 10 points in the starting lineup, has a couple of steals and a block. Didn't play a ton. 16 minutes between it was him and Peyton basically 16, 32 minutes there. Buddy Hield, got some time I think in that mix as well. Buddy is struggling, but again, I didn't feel like Buddy killed him tonight. He only took 1 shot in 14 minutes and did have 4 boards and a turnover. But this team is only going to go as far as Steph and Jimmy and Draymond can physically take them to drag them to these wins. And again, it's not even opponent specific. It's like those guys are more amped. We talked about it, I think, after the Indiana game. Those guys are more amped to play Wemby when Wemby's the talk of the league. And San Antonio's the new thing, right? San Antonio is the Houston of Sacramento's from like 3 years ago, and then it was Houston, and then they love playing and look, I think San Antonio has the potential to be better, obviously, than both those teams, although Houston's pretty good because of Wemby, but the Warriors love that challenge. They love that challenge. So, the issue is, how are they going to show up in New Orleans on Sunday for a 4 p.m, Sunday, everybody's watching football kind of a game, right? Like that's the question. That's the concern. I think if there is one. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. Kyle, let's get some Kyle's clicks here. YouTube chat. Let's just run through it. Bees knees, man, that defense was brilliant down the stretch. Yeah, they forced the Spurs into some tough shots, into some bad shots, frankly. And GP right there, Jimmy, Draymond, it was a team effort, and they forced the Spurs into some jumpers that were not great shots and early shot clock jumpers. I thought that the Spurs actually got a little lazy, I thought, at times, and they were getting bailed out by the offensive rebounding. But I thought San Antonio was a little bit lazy in that game a couple of times when they had the lead. All right, keep it moving. Let's go. Digum 117. This team is going to be worn out if they have to play like this all season. Why are you being a downer, Digum? Come on. We had Mike and Los Gatos doesn't want anybody being a downer on a night like tonight. It is a concern though, and it's a legitimate one. Jason Mishler, wow, Steph Curry leaving me speechless once again. That's the grand takeaway. Like, we can get into the X's and O's of where this team is and what it all means, but I mean, the number one thing, there are some games that just leave you speechless or leave you buzzing throughout the night and even the next morning. Like, this is one of those games where I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to kind of think back as I'm getting ready for Just Dubs, and I'm going to be like, wow, that was that you still feel the energy from the way that game was played because it was high level. I mean, there's just nothing like it. I think in many ways it turned out to be the game of the year, and the Warriors have had a few. I mean, the Denver game I thought was really good. I thought the Clipper game was pretty high level at Chase, and then these last two I think have been right up there in terms of just high level competition. Celts Chronicles, man, that might be one of the best games I ever saw, beginning to end. Both sequels played D. The entire game, classic game, real talk. Yeah, it was a great game, phenomenal game, and two phenomenal games. Again, it had a little bit of that feel of a playoff series where two teams match up and they go through, they play a great game, and then you make adjustments. And I thought that's why it was a little ugly the first maybe quarter and a half, 2 quarters, was the fact that everybody, like, both of these teams have spent the last 3 days focusing on each other, which rarely happens. It's usually like one shoot around or one practice where teams will focus on. I mean, these teams it's been nothing but really for like 3 days, going back to, Wednesday, Thursday, today, for both of these teams to just focus in, lock in, film. You're going over film of things the opposition did or your player that you're guarding did and how to stop it or how to attack them, and then you're actually seeing them again. Like, it had a little bit of that playoff type feel to it. So, yeah, good thought there from Kelts. Next up, JC Mack. The Warriors look like the Warriors without JK. Yeah, it's just real. Real is real. I mean, it just, what was it and how much of it is sustainable? They look like the Warriors again. The lineup change, Steph, Jimmy, Draymond, and no Kuminga. I think the matchup as well, and the Warriors being junkies for the, basically the big game. These felt like big games with the Wemby kind of taking the league by storm, and I think that added to their willingness to really ratchet up the compete level to where it needed to be. We the champs, babe. JD, get one more legit player next to Steph. I don't even think it has to be a star. Again, I know every time we talk about it, one player not on the roster, it just has to be a consistent, semi-consistent third option. A semi-consistent third option that doesn't really have to. It's just it's somebody that can catch and shoot and can attack and draw and kick and just create for himself or others. I know that's still a really good player that most teams don't want to get rid of, but yeah, they need one more. They need one more guy that's a rotation player to where that guy's going to play if Moody isn't playing well, or that guy's going to play if Pods isn't playing well. Because right now Pods basically is a closer no matter what. Most nights Moody is as well. And then, it's Steph and Jimmy and Draymond. And look, if Pods isn't playing well, Will Richard is. If one of these guys isn't playing well, Kuminga is. You can always mix and match. But right now, those five, Horford can get into that mix. But they need one more guy that they can just know is going to be out there 4 games out of 5 with the other 3. And then you can pick and choose who the 5th guy is depending upon the matchup. I think that is a level that the Warriors really, really still need to get to. Estimated eyes, how did we beat that team? Twice! Yeah, amazing. Phenomenal. Incredible. What a win tonight. And look, San Antonio's learning. They are still, as great as Wemby is, they have a ton of young talent. I think, look, they're going to be fine. But the one thing to keep in mind with San Antonio is they're trying to go from bad to good. They were not, they have not been good yet with this group. Like a lot of losing players. We talked about that on Wednesday. De'Aaron Fox is really the only guy on their whole team. Cornette obviously had been with the Celtics, but De'Aaron Fox is really the only guy that plays significant minutes that's ever been on a good team at all. And it was 2 years out of like 7 he was in Sacramento. It wasn't like it was, every year of his career. And then he comes in there. So the Spurs, I think tonight, I think if we're looking at this from a San Antonio perspective, I think going up against the experience of the Warriors and losing the games is only going to help them moving forward. Harrison Barnes, that's another good one. Yeah, HB's another one that's obviously got the championship experience, but they don't have a lot of those guys is the point. And yeah, sometimes you forget about Harrison Barnes because he doesn't necessarily make a tremendous impact on the game. And I did that here. And tonight was kind of one of those games, 28 minutes, and you didn't really notice him. The other night, Wednesday night, you did. But no, I like Harrison Barnes. Unfortunately, Gene, can't get those 2 games back in Indy and Milwaukee, 10-4. We're having a different conversation. Yeah, then you could manage it. And look, they're going to still manage it and give guys nights off. But Gene, we go back and forth all the time. I go with Gene on, how is this team going to be able to get through the long haul? And it's going to be tough. It really is. But wins like tonight help. Wins like tonight. And the Pelicans game cannot be a loss. You can't win these 2 and lose to the Pelicans. You could win these 2 and lose to Orlando and maybe give guys a night off against Miami, something like that. Like you could do something like that, or give guys a night off in Orlando and play them in Miami, or however you want to do it. Like you can do that, but that's to me how you're going to have to navigate, or you push through and you try to get as many as you can. You're home for Portland on Friday. Maybe give everybody the Utah game off at home. They don't like giving guys the night off at home. I think they should rest players more at home than they do on the road, because I think you have a better chance of still maybe competing and winning that game when you do that. But ticket sales are always going to be a part of the equation. Let's get a couple more. Alpha, JD, the Dubs pulled out that championship medal these last few games. You hit the nail on the head that they need to get a few more rotation pieces, and they have action in the playoffs. And DeAnthony Melton is going to be one of them. I mean, that we can't forget about DeAnthony Melton. But I feel like DeAnthony Melton in many ways is more of can't count on him until you actually see that you can count on him. So that's kind of where I am with DeAnthony Melton. Let's get two more. Dr. P, Kuminga for literally anyone who can just shoot. Don't even need a defender. I don't know that I'm going to go that far, but you need a shooter and a creator. You either need a shooter and a defender, or a shooter and a creator. You need two of the three. It can't just be only. It can't be like a. It can't
we
be
have
a
that
6
guy.
foot.
We have Buddy Hield.
It can't be a 6. Yeah, I was gonna say it can't. Kyle, you took the words right out of my mouth, brother. It can't be a 6'7" Buddy Hield. Like, you don't need it. Like that's you don't want to do that. The player they trade Kuminga for needs to bring a little bit more to the table than that. But I also think, and look, I'm trying not to be harsh about it, but it is only 2 games, but it really isn't 2 games. It's 2 games plus like 28 games last year after the Jimmy Butler trade. Like it's not just 2 games. This team plays with more flow and more energy when Kuminga's not a part of it, or when he's a lesser part of it. It's just reality. And so you can say it's only 2 games this year, but this should be like these 2 games plus the evidence we saw last year post Jimmy Butler trade should make it easier for the Warriors to just move on when the time comes. You don't give them away. You strategically scour the league, which the Warriors should already be doing. You don't give them away, but you bring somebody back who is going to be in your rotation and a closer potentially on a lot of nights. All right, one more. Bob Granelli. Did I say one more or 2 more? Is Curry's brother coming back to the Warriors? Yeah, Seth is going to sign at some point. His prorated salary will be low enough to where the Warriors can fit him under the cap. So he's coming in. All right, one more here and we'll take a timeout. Pods had the most important play late in the 4th quarter, taking a charge when the Spurs were on a scoring streak. Momentum swing. Appreciate it, Cowboy. Good point there. Pods also hit a big 3. Timely buckets tonight for the Warriors is where it was really at. So no, good stuff there. All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back. 808 KNBR if you want to jump in and join the conversation that way. We will also have sounds of Dubs OT coming your way as well. Some fun with numbers and more in the YouTube chat. Warriors get the win 109-108 at San Antonio, and we're all over it right here. Dubs OT with JD on the Sports Leader.
KNBR presents the sounds of Dubs OT.
I can see the headline now. Kerr says Warriors better without Curry.
No class, no balls.
I want to get my joy back. I'm happy here, off the court.
Now here's John Dickinson.
All right, final segment. Warriors win in San Antonio, 109-108. They sweep the two-game set against the Spurs. They're 8-6. They play the Pelicans on Sunday. It's time for Sounds of Dubs OT. More in the YouTube chat coming up here as we will roll until about 10:55 or so. So another installment of Kyle's Clicks, about another 20 minutes But let's run through it here, and also letting everybody know 11 to 12 tomorrow we'll continue the conversation here on the Sports Leader with Just Dubs, as that will be another opportunity to look into some other topics surrounding the Warriors. Although a win like the Warriors had tonight, on top of a win like the Warriors had on Wednesday night, and there is going to be a lot of the same conversation in the aftermath of such a terrific couple of Stephen Curry legendary performances, and just where the Warriors go from here as they have tried to set their season back on a positive track here over these last two games down in Texas. All right, let's hear from the head coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr. First topic on the board here tonight for Steve is extending Stephen Curry's minutes tonight. Steph, 36 minutes. He played the whole third quarter tonight, and he was on a heater. You look at the third quarters for Steph, my goodness. Steph ended up with 22 in the third quarter on Wednesday. He had 17 in the third quarter tonight. And, geez, 39 points in the two third quarters in San Antonio here over the last two games. And so Steve kind of went for this one, right? It was San Antonio, 3-4 years ago? I think it was 4 years ago. The old chasing wins conversation where Steve said he wasn't going to necessarily be, burning Steph out to chase wins. Well, Steve chased this one tonight. Here's the head coach talking about extending Curry's minutes to 36.
Yeah, we ended up with 18 assists, and we were trying to move the ball. I thought the intentions were great, but they were, again, super physical, and Wemby was everywhere. We just couldn't really get our offense going, and felt like we were going to have to ride him a few extra minutes, and we didn't plan on playing him the whole third. I tried to take him out with about 2 minutes left, but there was no stoppage in play, and he played the last 8. But you can see the difference, in his rhythm, his conditioning, now after, being out for a week. And I think in some ways that helped his legs, but he needed a couple of games to get the conditioning and the rhythm back. But that was an incredible performance.
But don't think 36 minutes is going to be the norm for Steph here moving forward. I know the Warriors want to keep it more in the 30 to 32 range if they can. And again, Sunday is the kind of game against the Pelicans that's the kind of game that you need to be able to win. Even if it's a close game, you need to be able to win that game without having to push Steph and Jimmy and Draymond to the level that you've had to push them these last two games. That is the one thing. Like it however you got to do it, they all three need to play. I'm not saying it has to be a blowout where everybody's chilling in the fourth quarter with 10 minutes to go. That's just not the nature of the NBA. Even poor teams can play well on certain nights, and you're going to have off nights shooting, and there is some variability to the league night to night, but it can't be 36, 35, 33. It has to be more like 32, 30, 26, 27, I think, as it relates to Draymond. And you have to you don't need your young guys to score 30, although that will help, but you need them to be steady and hit some shots, and they need to continue to play connected basketball the way that they did these last two games. I think Steve Kerr will stick with the same lineup here moving forward on Sunday, assuming everybody's healthy. All right, let's hear another one from Coach Kerr as he addressed the response, which I think is one of the major headlines in the Warriors winning these two games, the response after losing to Oklahoma City on Tuesday, and just how ugly everything seemed just 3 nights ago to bounce back the way the Warriors did.
Yeah, it was just a fantastic, 2 victories over a hell of a team on their home floor. Coming off that stretch where we were really struggling. So really proud of the team and excited about where we are and where this is going as we look forward. But we're only halfway through the trip, so we got some tough games left.
Tough games left, and again, the Pelicans is the one you got to get. That's the one you have to get. If you don't win in Orlando, or you have to rest in Miami, or however that shakes out, I think you can live with that and get to 9-6. You'd be 9-8. I think if the Warriors are 9-8 coming back, if they're 10-7, they feel great. I think if they're 9-8, they feel pretty good. And then especially given how they've played at home here to begin the season, and Portland's not going to be any picnic coming back home, but then you get the weekend off, and then you're playing Utah after that. So there are going to be some opportunities here for the Warriors to get some wins coming up. But I think just withstanding and getting things back on track was huge here these last couple of games. All right, let's hear another one from Steve Kerr. And a big theme of the last two games was Draymond Green defensively and the job he did on Victor Wembanyama. Here's Steve kind of weighing in on Draymond and his ability to compete with Wemby.
He did everything he possibly could. Draymond is always going to battle, and he's one of the great competitors I've ever been around. And obviously, he was getting pretty emotional out there. It was a battle, and he got the fifth foul, and we took him out. And then, Al came in, did a really good job. Draymond came to me at the timeout at 3 minutes, and he said, "Hey, if that group's rolling, you want to stay with them, stay with them." And I felt that way. And I think I played Al, a couple more possessions. And then when they scored, it's like, I have to get Draymond back in the game. And, the way he closed it, beautiful assist to Steph on the out of bounds play. And then, defensively, just doing what he does, that was really impressive.
We talked about GP2, we talked about pods, and I think within that answer, and Draymond did get a little bit of extra time down the stretch on the bench, although he played 33 minutes as you look up. But I thought tonight was Horford didn't score a point tonight and was 0 for 4, and the shot still is not there for Big Al, but I think Al Horford has played a couple of his better games the last two in terms of impacting winning, even if he's not hitting shots. A lot of these other games, it's felt when he's not hitting shots that he's just not a useful player. And the last couple of games, it did not feel that way, which I think is a pretty good sign. He hit some shots against Indiana and helped him to win that game. And if you go back to the Denver game, I think was the other one early in the season that he hit some shots and was, but Al, that's significant. The fact that he was able to not necessarily, and he hit 3 threes the other night and had 9 points in the first game in San Antonio. But I feel like he's been more impactful these last couple of games. And I think that's a good sign, even if he's going to be somebody that, 23 minutes, they want to keep it around 20. They extended him about 3 minutes more there, took 3 minutes away from Draymond. We'll see what they do with him against the Pelicans. Maybe you give Al the weekend, maybe you give him off until one of the games in Florida. Maybe that's one I could see here moving forward. So yeah, that's I think what would be. Those are the kinds of things you can manage here night to night with some of the older players. All right, let's hear a couple of Steph Curry clips, and then we'll get back to the YouTube chat. Here is Steph, this via Amazon Prime, that telecast, talking about the emotion of getting this win on top of what the Warriors were able to accomplish on Wednesday night.
I love this game. I love my teammates. I thank God every day I get these opportunities to keep playing and enjoy these type of moments. Like, it's only game, 14? We're just trying to claw our way into some type of identity and momentum. But that was fun. They got a great team. To come here and win back-to-back games is huge.
And nobody had done it. San Antonio was 5-0 at home before the Warriors beat them on Wednesday, and then they beat them again. So now they're 5-2 at home. And I was looking this up. I think Tim Kawakami of the SF Standard threw it out there, I think, early in the game. Man, this would be a fun playoff matchup if these two teams could face each other. A long way to go. I was kind of thinking the same thing. And I also was looking it up because the most you're going to play a team is 4 times at least scheduled in the regular season. It can now get to 5 with the play in or the in season. The Emirates Cup games can make it where you play a team 5 times. Some teams you only play 3 even in the West. I'm thinking when are the next games? And this, by the way, was a group play win in the Emirates Cup. So the Warriors improved to what 1-1 in the Emirates Cup in the group of death, and they've got a couple of more games to come here against Portland at home and against the Rockets as well next week. So Portland on Friday is a cup game a week from tonight when the Warriors return home, and the night before Thanksgiving is also, I believe, a cup game against Houston, and then that's it to round out the group play. In the so-called group of death with the Denver and the Warriors and San Antonio and Portland and Houston. So yeah, the Warriors able to get a couple of wins that other teams haven't been able to get to this point. All right, let's hear one more from Steph. Just adding on here to the gritty wins that the Warriors got in San Antonio, and continuing to, as he mentioned in the last clip, try and forge some semblance of an identity.
That's why I know we get a lot of attention, and we have our own expectations in our locker room that we can still win at a high level. That's all it is. We're just trying to live up to that. It's a long year. There's a lot of emotion, a lot of ups and downs, but just trying to, like I said, just come out and find an identity. We haven't been able to do that early in the season, but these are 2 gritty, gutsy, professional wins.
Great wins for the Dubs. And I was looking it up. February 11th and April 1st. So no Warriors Spurs games. The next 2 are at Chase, but no Warriors Spurs games until February 11th. So that's what, 2 months away. And then April 1st. So basically the final week and a half to 2 weeks of the regular season at Chase Center. So those 2 teams, fun matchup. Wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more of that, but we're going to have to wait a little bit there. All right, before we get to fun with numbers, Kyle, let's run through it here. We got about 8 minutes to go on this Friday night. It's been a lively show as always, and again, catch us tomorrow 11 to noon for Just Dubs, where we will continue the conversation tomorrow right here on the Sports Leader. But our final, let's go Kyle's Clicks, more from the YouTube chat, the best YouTube chat in sports. Dubs won twice in San Antonio, 72 hours. I remember seeing them go 10 years without winning a game at San Antonio. It was longer than that. It was, I mean, wasn't it like 97 to 2000? Wasn't it 97 to like 2015 in the regular season, something like that? Or I mean, it was like 18 years, I think. They won playoff games there. I got to dig that nugget up. I'm trying to get that one off the top of my head, but yeah, I think they didn't win in San Antonio in the regular season until the 73-9 year. If it might have been the year before, but they did win a couple of playoff games in 2013, or they won one playoff game there in 2013. They should have won another one. They had a big lead that they let get away. The Spurs ended up winning that game, winning that series, and going on to, that was the year they lost to the Heat. But yeah, that definitely a big win and a long time coming for the Warriors to get wins in San Antonio. That's a great point. Win was a 6.9 on the Richter scale. Other NBA teams are shaking in their boots. Good one from Cowboy. Yeah, I think so. I think that's look, I think everybody in the league knows that when the Warriors have their guys and they're dialed in, they are a problem. But night to night, like it's the San Antonios and the Houstons and the Denvers and it's those teams in playoff series where they're shaking in their boots. But Milwaukee and Indiana with their star players out are not shaking in their boots. It's so funny, the energy dynamic in play. You know, the Kings don't shake in their boots when they play. It is what it is. But yeah, I think that the good teams are taking. Maybe OKC isn't after the Warriors got thumped by them on Tuesday, but I think most of the good teams in the league look at the Warriors when the Warriors are at their best and do feel a little bit threatened. Good comment there. Draymond was big tripping trying to post up Wemby. Yeah, I don't know what the hell that was. Couple of plays there where Draymond, he goes up, he gets blocked, he goes right up again. I'm thinking, Draymond, what are you doing? You're going to get blocked again. He got blocked again. Although I think technically it ended up being only one block on the two plays there. But the Wemby block of Jimmy Butler too, yeah, that looked like it was going to be a potential game swinging type moment in the favor of the Spurs. JMU 22, that Wemby kid's going to be good. I mean, is damn good. Yamming on Dre, yelling at him, love his heart. Yeah, that was great. And that was after Draymond had blocked his shot too. So like right before that, remember Draymond blocked his shot and then they get the lob there and he's able to dunk it over him. And so, yeah, no, that was good. Again, learning experience, growing up experience, I think, for Wemby and for San Antonio. Gizmo, Wemby needs Dre grilling his ass. It'll make him better. 100%. Totally agree with that. As we just noted here on Dubs OT. What do we got, Kyle? Fozzie. What's up, Fozzie? I hate to be that guy, but I don't know if the Warriors win with JK playing. It's a fair thing to bring up. And we're going to talk more about that tomorrow on Just Dubs to be sure. Again, it's not just tonight. It's not just Wednesday. There is almost 30 games of evidence after the Jimmy Butler trade last year and a playoff series against Houston, by the way. So there's actually, if you count the playoff series, there's over 30 games of evidence. So look, JK's tried to do everything he can to do things the right way, but it's just looking less and less like a fit. Estimated eyes, how is it possible that last game's performance was outdone by this one? Steph, man, like that is just all time. And right when the Warriors need it most, right when the chatter is starting about the Warriors maybe being cooked, Steph puts two of those games out there to let everybody know that he's not going anywhere and that he's going to not let the Warriors, at least not on November 14th, be cooked. So, yeah, incredible. I mean, all-time legend, top 5 of all time type stuff from Steph. That good. Drew Down, I would call Kyle Haar, but I took a shot for every Steph third quarter bucket. Be safe tonight, Drew Down. Be safe tonight, Drew Down. All right. How many more we got? 2 more? 1 more? Where are we at? 2 more. All right, here we go. Bees knees, refs doing some weird stuff to Dre in the fourth. Yeah, there was some different officiating tonight throughout the game. I know the Warriors were more frustrated after San Antonio had been more frustrated on Wednesday. Let's get our comment of the night.
Now, time for the Dubs OT comment of the night.
Sear, ladies and gentlemen, your 2026 NBA champions, the Golden State Warriors. Wow, calling it now. We might have to screen grab that one. We might have to screen grab that one, Sear, and run that one back if it comes to fruition. Your Dubs OT comment of the night. All right, let's quickly get some fun with numbers before we call it a night.
This is Dubs OT with JD. Time now for fun.
I'm a fun guy.
With numbers.
No, I'm just having fun.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live on KNBR.com and the KNBR app.
All right, Warriors 2-1 on the road trip, 8-6 overall, 3-6 on the road. That's 2 straight on the road for the Dubs. They're 1-1 as we talked about in the Emirates Cup. Portland next Friday, then the night before Thanksgiving against the Rockets. Another clutch game for the Warriors, and they've won now 2 clutch games in a row after winning the Denver game. Then they had lost 3 straight. They won the last 2 within 5 points and 5 minutes to go. So the Warriors get a couple of clutch wins, which they had not been doing. Curry with the second straight 40-point game. Again, he also tied Michael Jordan for the most 40-plus point games after the age of 30, 44 overall. Just a spectacular showing for Steph Curry these last 2 games, going for 49 and 46. I mean, wow. What can you say? 49 and 46, 95 points in 2 games. at San Antonio. Jimmy had 21, 9th 20-point game of the season, also had 8 boards. Will Richards started again. Brandon Pajemski had 10 points off the bench. All right, that's going to do it. Join us tomorrow for Just Dubs, 11 a.m. until noon. We'll continue the conversation. Thanks to the best YouTube chat in sports. Thanks to all the callers. The lines were lit through the first hour of the show. Everybody in the Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line. A big thanks to Anthony Garcia tonight. And anybody I'm forgetting, Kyle?
That was it. Two-man show. Good stuff. Oh, yeah. Just Dubs tomorrow, 11 a.m.
Just Dubs.
Yeah,
That's
it'll
right,
be
11
me and Danny helping out, and then you behind the mic. Let's go.
That looking forward to it. So for Kyle, I'm JD. We'll talk to you tomorrow right here on the Sports Leader.
But great win.
Who are these guys?
I love you, JD. Bye, sugar.
I can see the headline now. Kerr says Warriors better without Curry.
Jimmy freaking Butler puts it in.
Obviously, I'm shooting the ball well. It's pretty obvious.
Batman comes out of nowhere. You never see him coming, then he just fall from the sky, from a building, behind the door. Everything's gonna be all right.